And now that the feds got Lil Cam, basically, he's about to tell on everybody. That's what Houston is saying right now. You got to listen to what Houston is saying. Because they caught Lil Cam, they think he's definitely going to tell because he's never had to do this much. Like, he never had gotten into this much trouble before. So this is the first time the boy is getting in trouble like that. And he's not going to be able to take it, man. He's going to crack under pressure. He might just rat out and tell on all the mob ties. Like, you never know with these people, man, especially the young, like Lil Cam is young, and you see how all these young people started snitching and everything this whole year. Like, look at the Young Dolph case with all them youngins, and they started telling on each other, and they damn near got half a CMG. And now Lil Cam is going to probably do the same thing and tell on mob ties. He's going to be telling on all the Houston people. And so they're hoping that he doesn't say a single word. Like, it's a lot of people that are like, man, I hope Lil Cam doesn't say anything because that might come back and affect somebody they know or this or that, right? And so people are sitting back watching. A lot of people from Mob Ties are scared because they didn't think that Lil Cam was going to flip like that. When they brought Lil Cam in to Mob Ties and when they invited him to the party and everything like that, they thought that the money that was going to be given him to stay quiet was going to be enough. But that's not the case, man, because that money runs dry. He had to spend that on, trying to beat the case and trying to do all that, right? And he can't even bond or anything like that. So what's going on is that it's looking like there's a couple things that's going to happen. He's probably going to tell on everybody, and they might come and be looking for Lil Cam's friends and a couple of other people that have maybe some type of involvement with Mob Ties and Takeoff. And like the thing that Lil Cam got hit for was for a blick. He got stopped at the blick, and they connected that separately, and that's the reason why they got him in. And so now they could really like take their time and look at the Takeoff stuff and put the replay because he's right there in the footage, like in 4K. And so he was seen, he has something in his hand too. So that's why they came after him, is because he had the blick in his hand. And then when they seen him riding around in Houston, they caught up with him and he had the same blick. And so what happened is that he told on whoever gave him that. He's probably going to tell on the people who was giving him the money, because remember, he walked out of that bowling alley with the brown paper sack with 30,000 in it. And it was like a lot of money. It was somewhere between 25,000 to 40,000. And when he was walking out of it, you could see that it was that brown paper bag with that rubber band on it. There's only one or two things that you could do with the brown paper bag like that. And you either put money in it or you walk out with like a Henny or something or Remy, and you walk out with that brown paper bag from the corner store. But there was no corner store. That was the bowling alley. And it was dudes inside there who had that type of money to be given out for whatever orders that they told him to do. Because you guys got to understand that that was Lil Cam's job, was to just follow the orders of the henchmen and the bossmen. Like, this whole thing, Lil Cam ain't the one who gets to make the decisions and call the shots. There's a shot caller that Quavo was arguing with, and the shot caller Quavo was arguing with, he's the one that decides if somebody's supposed to drop or not, or if somebody's supposed to move a muscle or not. He's supposed to look at his crew and his guys and tell them whether to chase after him or do something or not. So basically, the shot caller said what he said or signaled what he signaled. And as soon as you see that somebody swung, and then boom, you go and look at the fact that Takeoff is right there, and Lil Cam was looking for the signal to see if he was ready to go down or not. And so all of that, man, it's fishy to me, man. A lot of people knew what was going to happen that day. Like, they already knew that this dude was beefing with Quavo. Like, Quavo's been beefing with this dude since 2013, man. You could go back and look at all the messages they had back and forth together. You could look at all the tweets that they did, throwing shade on each other. Dude was dissing Migos. He told him not to come to Houston. They told him not to come to Atlanta. He said, you got to check in with Mob Ties. They told him he got to check in with BMF and everybody else down there in Atlanta in Zone 3, Zone 4. You got to go to North. You can't come to North Atlanta is what they told him. So they're going back and forth on this beef, and Quavo was still going and hanging around Junior and them and Jazz. And so he was hanging with Drake and all them, and they did Versace. That's when they first came down there. That's where the beef started. When Migos and Drake linked up in Houston to do Versace, then that's when basically like when they came to remix it and redo it and perform and stuff like that, that's when the hate started coming in from the people with Mob Ties, because the people from Mob Ties seen him like, oh, Quavo, Takeoff, and Offset, they was like trapping in Atlanta, and they just all of a sudden hit the music scene, and boom, they took over the country, and they getting way more money than the Mob Ties crew at that time. So what was going on was the fact that the dudes in Mob Ties crew, like Lil Cam, his friends and his cousins and all them guys you seen running away, them dudes was super, super jealous, because it's not a dice game in the world that they could hit a lick on that would bring as much money as what the Migos was bringing in from all them sales, all them streams and shows and this. It was real money in front of their face, and they couldn't take it because they never could get to that point, because all they were was some street guys that had to follow the orders of the shot callers. They already had basically gave away their opportunities. They sold out. They basically were like, you know what? Now they property of Mob Ties. So they had to do anything and everything Mob Ties told them to do, no matter what, if they liked it or not. It was their motto. This was their lifestyle moving forward. So when they see the Migos coming in, being like on their own, not having to have all that security deep, having all that money, having the chains on, coming from the lifestyle that they came from the streets, not having to deal with the beef from Houston, not having to deal with any of Houston's problems, but being able to come to Houston and getting the respect for Mob Ties right from the jump, because of the fact that Drake was signed with Jazz, and that Mob Ties got bread from them doing Versace together. You got to see it all the way through, y'all. Mob Ties was getting paid from Migos straight up, because of the fact that Drake was Mob Ties affiliated, and that they get a cut of whatever he did. So they made it so that Migos and Drake worked together, and Junior and Jazz and all of them and their pops was getting paid all from that. So they already had deep lineage, deep ties, and like a history from 10 years ago, 8 years ago, where people started getting jealous because of how they were able to connect with Mob Ties Drake and just get the respect from Houston. And these dudes was super jealous because they still in the streets of Houston. They still live in Fifth Ward in a rundown crib. And like basically they're like, dang, man, why can't I be like them? Or like they're trying to take my shine. These dudes like Lil Cam and his friends and all them that ran away, they thought that they actually had a spot taken from them just because the Migos came and clicked up with Drake and Mob Ties. Like they felt some type of way, even though they really have no talent and don't bring anything to the table other than being crash test dummies. They thought, oh, just because these dudes came in and they getting money and they getting respect in Houston, that it took something away from them or something. But it was because they don't know how to understand their jealous feelings. And so that jealousy, that greed, the envy, and the way that they think, their street mentality, all of that BS got in the way of really like the bread, they were like, oh man, these guys are famous, these guys are rich and stuff like that. They're like, we could rob them, we could do this. They started beefing with them. So you got to understand that these dudes were very salty and already had felt some type of way, and were all in their feelings about this whole Migos situation when they first came to Houston. So throughout the years, that's why they kept all them back and forth and them Twitter messages. And then now for this to happen the way it did, it's like this was a long time coming, man. Y'all got to see it all the way through. The shot caller and Quavo arguing, and then next thing you know, Lil Cam looking for the signal, and then what happens, and then they all take off running, and nobody sees a single thing except for 2 or 3 girls that just said some like obvious stuff that's in the footage just so that they could get some of the reward money. And so at the end of the day, now that they got Lil Cam, he's probably going to tell on everybody. And so there is just a matter of time, a couple more months, until we figure out exactly how the whole plot went down, who paid him, how much exactly, and why was it the motive to have this happen. What was the motive behind the argument? What was actually said at the dice game? Somebody's going to end up telling that, because it's the 2 other people who also got hit up, and they might even so what you guys got to understand is the fact that this whole thing is an ongoing, a couple months down the thing. They're going to take it slow with this one, but they got Lil Cam, so they're going to put him in that spotlight and just be in that interrogation room for hours and hours. They're probably going to keep him in there for like 10 hours trying to ask him all the questions about everything that happened. because he knows he was there. Like they done paid him or something, you know. So he's gonna have to speak out, or else he's looking at like 200 years for this. So it's crazy, man. So none of this was worth it. So stay out the streets, y'all. None of it is worth it. Go get you some money. Do it the right way, man. But at the end of the day, subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment down below, and let me know where y'all from and who you rocking with. I'm gonna catch you on the next one.